Hi, thank you for taking my question. My question's for Steve or Mark. I'm wondering if we can get some context about how the variety of issues Starliner experienced today compares to other vehicles like Crew Dragon, Space Shuttle, or even the Soyuz. To the average person, or at least to me, it sounds as if Starliner has a lot of glitches and technical problems that keep popping up. And I'm wondering if we can quantify how these compare to the various glitches and issues that have popped up during flights of other vehicles, which at least outwardly don't seem as abundant. So is that a fair judgment, or do we consider this normal spaceflight behavior within the context of other crewed vehicles? Thanks.
Yeah, maybe I can start and maybe Mark can add. I would say some of the challenges that we are facing for this flight are very similar to the space shuttle when I talked about the cooling issues with having water in space relative to the shuttle had the flash evaporator system that was used for cooling during the transition to ascent before we got the payload bay doors open, and then after we closed the payload bay doors before entry, we used that system to provide cooling. We had numerous freeze-ups with that system, numerous problems. So I would say that this phenomenon of using water in space to cool is something that's always a challenge. So that's not necessarily something for Starliner, that's just a challenge that we always see with that system. And then I would say that the rest of the learning that we have relative to the helium leaks and the thrusters are very similar to the learning that we've seen in other vehicles, whether it be Space Shuttle or even some of the early cargo Dragon flights. If I look at where, the Crew Dragon is, people forget that SpaceX leveraged heavily their cargo Dragon to get to the capability they have with Crew in terms of their flight software, their thrusters, and other systems on the vehicle. So it was kind of an evolution to get to the crewed vehicle, adding the life support systems and the abort systems and then the parachute system. So, I would say there was learning there in the cargo vehicles that helped SpaceX get to where they are on the crewed vehicles. If I step back and look at shuttle, I think we had learning on every single flight relative to things that we learned on every single system. Some we redesigned. The first shuttle flight lost tiles in orbit as the vehicle returned. It had a major overpress of the OMS pods at liftoff that we didn't understand. The vehicle for STS-1, when they landed the vehicle, when Captain Young landed the vehicle, the ground effect was different than was expected, and so he had a heck of a time landing that vehicle. So that was a traditional kind of issue that you see with a new development. And if you really step back, see the crewed flight test is a little bit like STS-1 from a new vehicle perspective, first time with crew.
I definitely would, if you're going to make a comparison, you make a comparison from this flight to STS-1. I joined shuttle in about the 1985 time frame when there were 20 or so flights, 25 flights behind us already, and we were still learning a great deal, way more than what we're learning on this vehicle. We have two problems on this vehicle right now: the helium leak and figuring out how to fine-tune these thrusters so that they're not selected off. Those are pretty small, really, issues to go deal with, and we'll figure them out for the next mission. So I don't see these as significant at all.